first game, and we take a look at the tournament brackets. And boy, have we got lots of hoops coming up for you. And we may be here until midnight. We're going to love every second of it. Welcome back, everybody. Along with Glenn Consor, this is Doug Sherman. And in this 4-5 game, it typically is the most even game because these two teams are closest in the standings.
Oh, no question about it. And these two teams are two of the top defensive rebounding teams, so it's going to be a battle on boards. Obviously, it's going to be an up-tempo game. I expect this game to be in the 70s. Two very well-coached teams.
Okay, we're going to feature a couple of players. Let's take a look at the first as we get ready for the Gales against the Purple Eagles.
Guard play, Doug. Yeah, guard play is going to be key. Solomon Brown is one of these guys that can get in the lane, only a freshman. At this point in his freshman year, he's a sophomore. He's played a lot of games, a lot of minutes, and Maceo Wofford might be the best two-guard in this league in the open court.
Now, Darrell Green is a two-guard, he's a one-guard, he's a combo guard, but either way, he's a terrific guard for the Purple Eagles.
Well, they moved him to the two-guard spot where he's very comfortable this year. Obviously, Darrell's played the point guard spot for the majority of his career. He has, in my opinion, is the comeback player of the year in the conference. He could make threes, he could run the show, one of the top defensive players as well, and he moves so well without the ball. That's why he's comfortable in that off-guard spot.
Our keys to the game are brought to you by HSBC. First for Iona, Glenn.
Well, Iona's going to have to make sure they take good shots, clean shots, because Niagara has held teams to a high 48% from the floor. They just got to get up shot attempts and not take care and make sure they take care of the basketball. But the Magnificent Seven, they are not a deep team. Courtney Fields is still out. They may have to make sure they stay out of foul trouble. From Niagara's standpoint, this is a team that, again, rebounds very well, but they have to do a job on Jenkins in the low post. Again, depth is the key to this game. From Iona's standpoint, Niagara is a lot thicker team. They're a lot deeper team. They could go into their bench. That could be a factor this game, Doug.
All right, settle into your easy chair. We've got lots of MAAC hoops coming up. The MAAC quarterfinals getting underway in just a moment with Niagara versus Iona here on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. By HSBC. By Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. And by the New York Lottery. Have you bought your lotto ticket yet? You could win millions. New York Lotto. Hey, you never know. Welcome back, everybody. Along with Glenn Consor, this is Doug Sherman, and we are in the midst of the starting lineups here at the Pepsi Arena. Iona and Niagara, and we take a look at our starting lineups from the Purple Eagles' perspective to begin with, brought to you by I Love New York. Darrell Green, Alvin Cruz, James Reeves, Shea Cohen, and Tremel Darden, the starting five for Niagara University. And Darrell Green, we talked at the top, the leader of this ball club. Meanwhile, for Iona, Eddie Starks, Maceo Wofford, Greg Jenkins, Diary Wilson, and Charles Henson. Diary Wilson, who we have seen step up time and time again in the MAAC tournament over the years, will need to do that here this weekend if the Gales are going to go deep into the tournament for head coach Jeff Ruland. And the head coach for the Purple Eagles, Joe Mihalik.
And Joe Mihalik really needs to make sure this game that his team takes good shots and plays a little bit more up-tempo than they typically like to. This is a team that likes to go up and down, but I think realizing that Courtney Fields, Doug, is not going to play this game, hampered with an injury. He's got a very deep team. He's got Mendez coming off the bench. He's got Schmidt coming off the bench. He's got to utilize those guys and try to wear down Iona, and he knows that, so tempo, very important for Niagara.
We are set, the first of four men's quarterfinals. As you saw earlier today, had a morning women's semifinal, another women's semifinal coming up later on today, but the basketball continues here in Albany. Eddie Starks at the point for Iona. The Gales, being the number 5 seed, have the traveling uniforms on. Wofford misfires. Wilson gets the offensive rebound. Mook Reeves, one of the top rebounders in the conference, pulls it down.
Straight man-to-man by Iona. Got a good matchup out top. Starks against the freshman Cruz, who's very quick with the basketball. Niagara will try to look inside to Reeves as option A. The help's got to be there for him.
There was Reeves, but his pass taken away. Henson gets it out to Wofford. Maceo Wolford, you've got to play him at that three-point line. He can knock it down beyond the arc.
Well, no question about it. You know, Maceo Wolford really, like Darryl Green, had to make an adjustment to his game this year, playing a lot more of the off-guard spot for Iona.
Shea Cohen whistled for the foul on the low post. That is our first foul of the ball game. No score, just underway. A little over a minute gone by here in our first quarterfinal.
Shea Cohen didn't have his hands ready off that pass from Mook Reeves. Those internal passes, your hands have to be up by your chest, have to be ready to catch the ball. And Doug, one thing Iona has to really make sure of when they play defense is they need to make sure they stay out of foul trouble. They got to play honest blue-collar defense, but they can't reach. They don't have that bench to go to, so they got to really take it off a notch from an aggression standpoint, but they got to play honest and good position defense.
Tremel Darden, young man from Las Vegas with unbelievable talent, misfires. Reeves the offensive rebound. Blocked twice on the way up by Jenkins. It'll be Niagara ball.
Nice job by Jenkins, not leaning in as Reeves tried to draw the contact. Jenkins has really improved his defense and has been fits for Reeves on the offensive end. Jenkins had 26 points and 10 rebounds in the first time these two teams met. Really did a number on Reeves.
Whistle and a foul off the ball. An illegal screen against Shea Cohen, so that's number 2 against the starting center for the Purple Eagles.
Niagara trying to swing the ball around, so you got to be stationary on those screens. You can't move, you can't step, you can't headhunt.
Eddie starts with the dribble. A 6'2" sophomore from the Bronx. Actually played a couple of years of high school basketball down in Florida before coming back to the metropolitan area for college. Wolford misses, and we are still scoreless, over 2 minutes gone here at the Pepsi.
Tyree Wilson's going to have to step up his game, Doug. You know, he was the MVP of this tournament in 2000, and everybody's kind of waiting for him to explode this year. Quiet senior year for Tyree, but still capable.
There is our first basket. Alvin Cruz, who's coming off a terrific regular season finale. Cruz scored 21 against Canisius, including the game-winning shot with 13 seconds to go, and he continues the hot hand here this afternoon.
That's a big shot. There's a little elbow. Jenkins tried to establish some space to get open on the wing, but threw an elbow. See, that silly foul, Doug, not necessary. Jeff Rulin cannot afford those fouls. If you're going to make a foul, be aggressive with it.
Another whistle and another foul off the ball. This one against Henson for Iona. Charles Henson picks up the personal, his first, and the second against the Gales.
Great upside with Henson this year, one of the most improved players from when he started the season till now. Very effective scorer inside, and this guy, nice job by Darden.
Mel Darden picking up the offensive rebound and laying it in. 5-0 Niagara. Wilson misses. Henson is fouled on the rebound. Alvin Cruz, I believe, has been whistled for it, and Henson comes up limping. And if you're Jeff Rulin, that is exactly what you don't need. Henson's the guy in there for the injured Courtney Fields because he's limping around.
And I got a sneaky suspicion that Kenya Crothers is going to get a lot of minutes tonight.
17:05 to go. You see the slow start for the Gales. And in years past, as we've talked about, this would be the time they look for Tyree Wilson to penetrate. Instead, they get a tough 22-footer from Starks, which goes up and over the top of the backboard.
You know, since Starks has gained the starting role on this Iona team, he has shot the ball very well, scoring about 11 points a game. He's averaging 5 for the year, but since he's been starting, he's been averaging about 11, 12 points a game. Solomon Brown, coming off the bench as a freshman, has really been a spark plug. Boy, they're making some shots they normally don't make. You know, Alvin Cruz, when he made that three-point shot, Doug, he's only averaging about 19% from three. That's a big shot for him. And Shea Cohen, you know, he doesn't really have that great range. So two kind of strange types of shots within the scheme of the offense for Niagara.
Nonetheless, the Purple Eagles on top 7-0. Henson Backing down on Reeves. A wild shot is missed, and we've got a rebounding foul. Jenkins and Cohen came together. And it goes against Greg Jenkins.
You really can see, Doug, how Iona is struggling executing a half-court offense. Every shot has been contested so far by Niagara. They're not getting any shots, not getting any penetration from the guards out top. And I really think now with Jenkins on the bench, that's huge. They got to try to get him the ball inside. Now they can't because he's on the bench, and they got to go look inside to Henson. Now that the tempo of their game has to change too. They don't really have that inside threat, so they got to go up and down a little bit more to get some perimeter shots.
Foul against Eddie Starks. Non-shooting foul, his first, and number 4 against Iona. We're 4 minutes in. Niagara with the ball, a 7-0 lead. James Reeves with the pull-up. Shea Cohen out-muscles Henson for the ball, but then Henson blocked his putback. Here come the Gales. Long pass, Wolford from the baseline. Nice job with the left hand, and it gets the Gales on the board.
That's one of the things Iona does so well. They go very quick from the defensive end to the offensive end. Wolford is terrific in the open court.
Darryl Green kicks it off to Darden. Back out Darryl Green, the southpaw knocks it down. 10-2 Niagara. Darryl Green from the outside, Glenn, has been as hot as anybody the last month of the season.
Yeah, well, he's comfortable at that 2-guard spot. He's a terrific shooter. And he's one of these guys that is probably a better shooter off the catch than he is off the bounce. And that's why Joe really has made the right switch, putting him in that off-guard spot.
And he's been comfortable with the point guard play from Alvin Cruz, and also you've got Rossi Karen, who was a starter for much of last season, coming off the bench. So you're real comfortable having Darryl Green at the 2 for extended periods of time.
And I talked to Joe about that, and he said, you know, Alvin Cruz really earned that spot in practice, and he earned it over the summer. He just worked very hard. He came into the preseason, and he really showed and gained Joe's respect on how he ran the club, and he's very quick with the basketball.
There is Joe Mihalik in his 4th season at Niagara, and you know, he is the first Niagara coach with 4 straight winning seasons to begin his tenure since Taps Gallagher, the man that their home arena is named for. He turned the trick back in the 30s, and Joe Mihalik has done it here in the late 90s and early in the new millennium. Henson knocks them both down, and we've got ourselves a timeout. But Darryl Green and the Purple Eagles from Niagara have gotten off to a terrific start. It's 10-4. Niagara leads Iona on the MAAC television network.
Marist College prepares students to compete in the .com world, educating the mind as well as educating the heart. Marist is committed to helping students develop the strong values to serve them well beyond their college years. Marist is a member of the Templeton Honor Roll, a select group of 100 colleges and universities nationwide, recognized for their commitment to inspire students to lead ethical and civic-minded lives. Marist College, proud of its heritage, preparing tomorrow's leaders.
Niagara 10, Iona 4. Nearly 5 minutes gone here at the Pepsi Arena, the first of our 4 men's quarterfinals in the 2002 HSBC MAAC tournament. And of course, HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC family section. HSBC saluting the MAAC and today's families in attendance. And I'm guessing those youngsters, Glenn, are not going to be here for all 4 quarterfinals. I'm guessing they'll be asleep.
You know, there's a lot of people that would pay big money to have that colored hair, that redheaded kid that was standing there.
Yeah.
Big money to get that kind of hair. That's great hair.
Good look. Perhaps in to see tonight's game between the Marist Red Foxes and the Siena Saints. That'll be the 3rd of the 4 quarterfinals. The next game here this afternoon, the top seed Ryder against Canisius, which won its play-in game yesterday morning against Loyola. And then the nighttime doubleheader of men's hoops, Siena against Marist at 7, and then Manhattan against Fairfield at 9. At least that's the scheduled start time. Block shot by Kenye Carruthers. Solomon Brown up ahead to Maceo Wolford. Well, with Solomon Brown in there, you've got a little different look in transition.
Yeah, you got a little different speed. You go from the 3rd gear to the 1st gear, Doug, with Solomon in the game, and obviously Niagara now has to focus on transition defense. Bench management is going to be very important for Jeff Rule in this game. Going from figuring out who to play not many options on the bench, but making sure he gets each guy a certain amount of rest, because, again, he calls these guys the Magnificent Seven because that's all he has.
Yes. Tremel Darden shuffled his feet, turns it back over to Iona. Iona got off to a terrible start here today, shooting just 1 for 9 from the floor, but they got the easy look the last time in transition, and Wofford knocked it down. Now the foul on Tremel Darden. That is his first and number 5 against Niagara here in the first half. Diary Wilson, Solomon Brown, Maceo Wofford, Kenye Carruthers, and Charles Henson on the floor for the Gales. Iona has owned this MAAC tournament in recent years. 2-time defending champs, and there's a big part of the reason why. Diary Wilson.
That's a flashback.
Yes,
I just had a flashback, Doug. Little deja vu from a couple of years ago. That's exactly Dyrie's game, moving without the ball and exploding up using his quickness.
Senior from Rice High School with his first 2. Darden tries to answer but can't. Kenye Carruthers with a rebound. 10-8. Niagara on top. Starks drops it for Carruthers, and an offensive foul. Juan Mendez stood his ground and picks up the personal.
As you can see, Iona plays its best basketball when they go up-tempo. So far this game, they have struggled executing a half-court offense in that slow-tempo style of play. They're very good on the push. They've got some good backcourt players. Diary runs the floor well.
Michael Schmidt has checked into the game, number 13 for Niagara. Watch him around the perimeter, one of the dead eyes in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Strong move to the basket, Alvin Cruz. Freshman from Puerto Rico's got 5 points. Back the other way, the lefty finger roll from Solomon Brown.
Just had a little flashback or maybe projection to see what the youth of this league's going to be. Solomon Brown and Cruz, 2 guys that we're going to be seeing a lot of over the next couple of years.
There's Diary Wilson going coast to coast with Henson.
There's no time to celebrate after you score against Iona. Very quick bringing the ball up the floor. That's what makes them dangerous, because the front court players, Diary, Henson, and Carruthers, run the floor so well.
And Glenn, you talk about flashbacks. Diary Wilson, the defensive rebound, and then leading the break. Strong inside. Juan Mendez with his first basket of the day.
He's had a great season, the 6th Man of the Year award in the MAAC Conference. Making all-rookie team. And there's Mr. Cruz, who Joe Mahalan feels that he should have been on the all-rookie team as well. He was a little ticked off about that, and rightfully so. Defending his player, and Cruz had a nice year.
And Cruz takes a seat. Rossi Karen comes in. There's a good look at Mr. Cruz. Freshman from Puerto Rico, played his high school ball in Melbourne, Florida. He averaged just under 8 points per game, and he has 5 so far here this afternoon. 12 minutes to go here in the first half. Brown tries the look away. Schmidt knocked it out of bounds, and we've got ourselves an officials timeout. 11:53 to go first half. 14-12. Niagara with a lead over Iona. You're watching the MAAC Television Network.
I would encourage anyone to come to Niagara.
It was extremely instrumental in my success.
Niagara certainly gave me opportunity.
It was the most beautiful campus I've ever seen.
I love the faculty.
They're very concerned about your future.
It's a great place to spend 4 years.
I love Niagara. They definitely took care of me. When I came and I had my audition, I know they saw something in me. They wanted to, mold it, craft it. As much as you want to succeed, they want you to succeed. You never stop learning. Love it.
The Purple Eagles lead Jeff Rulin's Iona Gales 14-12 here in the first half of the Pepsi Arena. Fans, don't miss the 2002 MAAC Golf Championship at Disney's Wide World of Sports in Orlando, Florida, April 25th through the 28th. For spectator packages, contact Anthony Travel at 1-800-736-6377 or go to www.anthonytravel.com. Basketball, Glenn, is a game of runs, and the Gales are on a mini run right now to get back into it.
Doug, we talked about how important Iona is going to have to stay out of foul trouble this game, Doug. And interesting to see Reeves pick up 2 quick fouls, so now he's got to sit down. That's a big issue so far.
Green, Karen, Schmidt. David Brooks and Juan Mendez on the floor for the Purple Eagles in their home white uniforms. They're the higher seed here in the tournament. David Brooks can't get the roll. Wilson very active still with another defensive rebound, and the 6'4" senior dribbles up himself. Carruthers with the jump hook. We're tied.
See, that was a great play for Iona because Dyree made himself a threat. Got into the paint. All eyes were on Dyree that time, and Carruthers was open. That's what Dyree has to do, Doug. That's how he has to play. He has to be proactive, get in the paint. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of people coming to him. And just keep your eye on Dyree as he gets in the lane. He does a nice job. He forces his way in, gets in the lane, a lot of attention, and that frees up for a one-on-one situation for Carruthers. That's nice. See, that proactiveness, that productivity was lacking this year for Dyree Wilson.
Brooks back out Karen for three. Well short. Solomon Brown, who's been very active since coming off the bench, kicks it to Wolford. Traveling violation. Instead of taking the lead, the ball goes back over to Niagara.
Nice job by Solomon Brown. Number one, getting the long rebound. Number two, good quick vertical pass. He goes up. I think he shuffled his feet on the way up.
Rossi Karen to Darrell Green. Quick release from three. Henson the rebound. Wolford again drives to the basket. Came up short this time. Out of bounds. It'll be Niagara ball.
See, Wolford did not need to float on that play. He kind of leaned in, didn't need to float. That's not an easy shot from that corner, Doug, as you know, and in how you play and with your buddies right now. Those little 6-foot shots in the corner are not easy to make.
In between.
But you got to be on balance if you have a chance to make that shot.
Eddie Starks has come back in for Iona.
I heard you were pretty good at those shots, Doug. Getting in the lane, like little 6-foot pull-ups. You're not leaning in. Can you do that with your buddies?
As long as everybody's on the other end of the court,
interesting.
I'm terrific. Schmidt to the high post for Green. Nifty looking setup there. Darrell Green with 5 points, senior from Largo, Maryland. You talk about people who've had big games here in this building. Darrell Green's been as big as anybody here at the Pepsi Arena over the years. He and Dyree Wilson have both enjoyed great success here in Albany.
And that's what makes this game so much better. Their eyes light up when they come and play at the Pepsi.
Henson misses. Starks has it stripped away. Gales get it back. Wilson to Carruthers. He runs into a brick wall named James Reeves, and Mook has the rebound. Green wide open, and he hits. 8 for Darrell Green, who calls this building next to the Gallagher Center his favorite in the country to shoot the basketball in.
And you can see why. You know, what a great move Joe Mihalik has made, putting him at the off-guard spot, because Darrell Green's a better shooter off the catch. Squares up nice, and we've seen him through the years create his own shot off the dribble, which he can do. But what makes him such a great player is his ability to move to open spots off of someone else's penetration.
Well, we saw his sophomore year. He was second team all-conference, averaging nearly 18 points per game. But last year, Darrell had the injuries.
Yep.
His numbers dropped off considerably, only averaged 10 per game. His role was kind of undefined, but this year he has really stepped up once again.
And he really has. And in my opinion, he's my comeback player of the year for how he performed this year. He's made some big shots, especially the second half of the year. And I had a chance to talk to him before this game. He's coming into this tournament realizing that this is the last hurrah for him. So he's going to play hard. A lot of seniors sometimes want to get it over with. Not Darrell. Darrell wants to come out a winner in this tournament.
Dyree Wilson whistled for the offensive foul. There you see the Purple Eagles with a run of their own. 19-14, Niagara with the lead. 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to go here in the first half. Quarterfinal number 1 at the Pepsi Arena. Carruthers with a block shot. Schmidt inside to Reeves. Blocked by Henson. James Reeves again with the left hand, no. And now we've got a foul. It goes against Eddie Starks. But how about James Reeves? You see the pain on his face, but the effort is unquestioned.
What was impressive about this play by Reeves was the footwork. A lot of big guys can't maneuver inside with great foot speed. Good block by Carruthers, so you got to pick up those loose balls. Look at this little spin move. good footwork around the defense. He's obviously double teamed and goes up strong and gets hammered from Starks from behind, who's in denial, as always.
Reeves already has 4 rebounds this afternoon. He's the 3rd leading rebounder in the MAAC. First point for the sophomore from Edison Tech in Rochester.
Jeff Rulin's done a great job coaching his team this year. You know, he lost a lot of players. Leland Norris, the loss of Norris really hurt him. Bench depth was an issue all year. I think he's done a nice job with what he has. Not easy to coach only 7 players. You look down that bench, Doug, sometimes it gets very lonely.
Oh, you don't have to hear people griping about playing time.
No. You know, you can't put in Tony Childs or Craig Holcomb. Those 2 guys did a nice job as assistant coach. Rob O. Driscoll and Joe Mihalik. You know, Joe also has done a nice job in maneuvering his bench this year. Mendez winning the 6th man of the year coming off the bench.
You see James Reeves sitting down with his 3rd personal foul. That was the 7th against Niagara. Both teams over the limit now.
And I think Joe's done a good job of making the players understand and accept their roles. And that's been an issue. Obviously, Darryl Green changing his role this year.
Mike Schmidt's another one who's had to change his role, coming off the bench. Wilson misfired. The tip, no. Henson with the putback from the weak side.
I like his upside, Doug. He's going to be a great player in this league. He puts on some weight, develops a little range in his jump shot. He's got decent range now. Just gets a little bit more refined. He's going to be a tough player.
He's 6'9", 200. Very active defensively. Makes people change their shots. Solomon Brown with the dribble. I don't think Solomon Brown has looked at any one of his teammates that he's passed to since coming in so far today. Everything's a look away. Here goes Solomon eyeballing the rim, but he missed it.
Well, you got to look at the rim when you shoot.
Carruthers back out to Wolford. 7:40 to go first half. Henson denied by Mendez.
Tried to throw that down about 5 feet away from the basket.
Here comes Wolford.
You got to leave that for Garnett to do.
Wolford with 6 points. Back to a 2-point game. Niagara on top 20-18.
Yeah, I just think it's great, Doug, when you see these guys try to make plays like that. You know, they see it on TV. It's like my son. You know, my son was playing. My 7-year-old was playing in a little pee-wee league,
right?
And he's calling out the one play. And the coach called me up. He said, "Glenn, little Johnny's calling out the one play." I said, "So that's good, right?" He goes, "No, it's not good because there's no plays." You know, so I asked him about it. I said, "Johnny, what was the deal with that? Why were you doing that?" He goes, "Well, I saw Stockton do it on TV." And that reminded me of what Henson just did. He just tried to throw it in from around 8 feet out. Well, Garnett could do that. He can't do that right now.
You see it on television. You want to emulate it. Tremel Darden, sophomore from Las Vegas, at the line to shoot 2. The 11th leading scorer in the conference this year, 12.5 per game.
A little concerned about my little Johnny. You know, he's got a little swagger to his game. He's 7 years old. He's got the shaved head. He's got a little Chris Herron.
He doesn't have the shaved
head. I'm telling you. He's got a little crew cut going. He's got a little Chris Herron in his game, you know.
I haven't seen Johnny in a while yet. He had a full head of hair last time I saw him.
That was Kenny. You're talking about Kenny, but I got a phone call already from Tark about him.
You're talking Fresno State, Tark.
Yep, I'm talking Fresno State.
Mendez on the putback. Although Tarkanian may be done at Fresno State, this might be it this year. So if there's a scholarship offer, he's going to have to get it soon.
Yeah. He already called on him. I don't know. He should maybe wants to get him in as his last recruit before he leaves.
All right. The roll by Kenye Carruthers. You talk about emulating what you see on television. I don't know if our camera picked it up, but Carruthers did the LA Clippers horns to the forehead thing.
The headbands, everything. Everything is what you see on TV. And the nice thing about the MAAC conference, though, Doug, what I really love is that you get a chance to see these guys develop and improve. And that's something that you and I, through the years, get a chance to see. Oh, I love the way Daire's playing this game, Doug. You know, we haven't seen that from him. This aggressiveness, he looks quicker, he looks more involved and more attentive this game than he has all season.
At both ends, knifing to the basket. He's been getting the defensive rebounds, handling the ball, involving his teammates, and he goes to the line after the foul against Rossi Karen. That's the first against Karen, number 8 against Niagara.
Yeah, we got to give props to Rossi Karen, what he did last year. Darryl Green getting injured, him coming up, stepping up to the plate, being very productive for Joe Mihalik, and another one of these guys that maybe thought he was going to get a little more playing time from Joe this year, but he's been a tremendous contributor, and he had a terrific year last year. And Karen's going to one of these guys that if they advance in the tournament, they're going to rely on his minutes.
Wilson hits a couple. He is the 13th all-time leading scorer in Iona College history, and he and Charles Henson leading the Gales. We've got a timeout here on the MAAC Television Network. The number 4 seed Niagara with a 1-point lead over the number 5 seed Iona here in men's quarterfinal action at the 2002 HSBC MAAC tournament. And the winner of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award is Brian Dukes, a junior from Canisius College. He's a phys ed major with a 3.2 GPA from Orchard Park, New York. The New York Lottery will provide new computers to Dukes' elementary school. The award is based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery supporting education since 1967, saluting Brian Dukes for his achievements. And we will be seeing Brian Dukes coming up in the second game of our 4 quarterfinals, scheduled to tip off at around 2 o'clock today. He and the Golden Griffins survived their play-in game yesterday morning and will now get to take on the number 1 seed, the regular season champs, the Rider Broncs.
And who could forget what Canisius did last year, getting to the final game, almost running the table from trying to win 4 games in a row. Not an easy thing to do. Mike McDonald, they're very happy with the Canisius team. They shot for the first time ever against Loyola over 50% from the floor. So they get their offensive game going. They could be a sleeper in this tournament.
Well, we've talked over the years, Glenn, and we talked with the coaches at how challenging it is to try and figure out the best way to attack a tournament like this. And when you've got the women's games involved as well, it makes some of the time differences from when you play one day to the next even more extreme. And so, for instance, Bobby Gonzalez and the Jaspers, for the 3rd year in a row, are playing in the late game on Saturday, where you sit around all day and maybe you tip off at 9, maybe you tip off at 10. And on the flip side, you've got Mike McDonald's Golden Griffins trying to figure out how to go from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and hoping to make a run.
And I talked to Bobby about that, and I mentioned to him, I think it's fun to play in that late game. I don't know. I just think the later it is, you're playing at night. There's something kind of euphoric about playing. It's different. You're playing late, and I don't know. My body warms up late at night. I always like playing in those late games.
Well, I would think that for the ball players and college students in general, the night game would be more conducive rather than these early starts that you're not used to, especially the 10 a.m. game yesterday.
I personally would rather play later than earlier. Body warms up. You get a chance to think about some things, and I don't know. There's something nice about maybe bringing you back to your childhood, playing basketball at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night at the schoolyard. And
yeah.
I just think it's fun.
Well, we'll be here all night. Sienna Marist in the 7 o'clock game, and then the nightcap.
Did you bring a razor this time, Doug? Because the last time we did this, I brought my electric razor, but you wouldn't let me shave you at around 9 o'clock. I don't know why you didn't let me do that.
When I first got on this MAAC package, I didn't have to shave 6 years ago. Nice. Now, all of a sudden, I've got to shave by the 3rd quarterfinal.
Maceo Wolford has been one of these guys that has been so dangerous, and talk about a guy that's improved his game, Doug. Again, he ran the point last year. This year he's playing more of the wing, and you can see how dangerous he is. He gets out quick on that wing spot. Jeff Ruhlin really doing a nice job making that adjustment, finding a comfort level to Maceo's game, and terrific in the open court. He can take it to the rim. He's got a great 3-point shot, and I think Solomon Brown compliments him nicely.
And even though Maceo Wolford is 0 for 2 from outside the 3-point line, where he's usually very good, he is 3 for 7 overall with 6 points. He and Kenye Carruthers lead the Gales in scoring. 23-22 Niagara on top. Iona with the basketball. The inbound goes through the arms of Solomon Brown. Apparently Daryl Green the last to touch it. So it'll be Iona ball once again. Wilson trying to find a teammate. Gonna have to hurry. Gets it to Solomon Brown. Brown the pull-up. Way off the mark. Darden has it taken away from behind by Wolford.
One of the toughest things to teach a freshman is to slow down. And Solomon Brown did a great job of splitting the double team, but rushed a shot right at the end. All he had to do was slow down a little bit more, get a little bit more under control. It would have been a great play. Jenkins,
no. Misses the putback. Jenkins lost it out of bounds. It's Niagara basketball. Juan Mendez, Mike Schmidt, Daryl Green, Tramel Darden, and Alvin Cruz out there for the Purple Eagles. Brown, Wolford, Wilson, Carruthers, And Jenkins on the floor for the Gales from New Rochelle. Niagara from Lewiston, New York. The campus not actually in Niagara Falls, but in an adjoining town right next door. Darden from the right wing. Diary Wilson with another rebound. That's 4 rebounds so far for Diary. Greg Jenkins, this time able to connect.
So Jenkins gives Niagara fits. He took it to Reeves the first time these two teams played when he had 24 points and 10 rebounds. Now he's taking it to Mendez. Jenkins a little quiet this game. They need to look to him as an option A before they resolve to the three-point shot.
Now he's a young man who chose Iona College over West Virginia and George Mason. He has a huge upside. He picks up the personal foul. Mendez will head to the foul line.
That's smart play by Joe Mihalik, looking inside to get Jenkins his second foul. And now Jeff Rulin has to make a decision. Actually, that's 3 on Jenkins. I'm sorry, I had it down for 2. It's 3 on Jenkins. Now he's got to sit him. Wow, that's a big foul.
Shea Cohen replaces Darryl Green. Henson comes in, and Jenkins goes out after picking up that 3rd foul.
Jeff Rulin on the sideline saying Jenkins had his hands up. Didn't reach in, but Mendez did a nice job of drawing that foul. When the big guys go up and feel where the defense is and know how to draw that foul, it's a big advantage.
Mendez gets 1 out of 2, and we're tied at 24. Quarterfinal number 1 here at the Pepsi Arena. This is the MAAC Television Network. We're tied at 24. Fans, the 2002 Volleyball Championship is back at Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida, November 16th through the 20th. For spectator packages, contact Anthony Travel, 800-736-6377, or check him out on the World Wide Web, anthonytravel.com. Along with Glenn Consor, and this is Doug Sherman, and the Iona Gales, with Diary Wilson, have been able to get back in this thing. Wilson in the backcourt with Brown. A little pressure by Michael Schmidt, broken.
Niagara now sitting in a 2-3 zone. Maceo Wolford is really the only outside threat that's dangerous for Iona, so you could sit back in the zone and make sure you're playing man-to-man principles. It was effective on that segment. See, anytime you play a zone, Doug, a lot of people think it, you know, you're playing at spots on the floor, but if you don't know where the shooters are when you play zone, that's when you get in trouble. Also, zone kind of lends the defense sometimes to take lapses on the boards. You got to know where the shooters are. So when Niagara fell back in that zone that time, Wolford is a terrific three-point shooter. Brown has struggled. So you focus on Wolford from 3.
Purple Eagles struggling a bit here at the line. 3 out of 7.
Interesting so far, Doug, and Jeff Rulin knows it, is that the wing players for Niagara, Darden and Schmidt, very quiet so far. Schmidt hasn't scored. Darden scored once, I think, and you know, they've really done a nice job of shutting down those wing players. Cruz and Green have been a terrific threat this game, but when Green's out of the game, Schmidt needs to make shots. That's a scud missile.
Didn't catch anything but a little bit of the backboard, but the answer by Juan Mendez. Can't do it from the free throw line, so he lays it in. 7 points for Mendez.
A little half-court trap. Good reversal.
(26-24) Niagara. How about the follow by Kenye Carruthers?
Man. But again, Diary bringing all eyes to him on the offensive boards, and you can't forget Carruthers. You got to lay bodies on people. And again, that's that zone again, Doug. And keep your eye on the frontline players of Niagara as Diary goes into the lane. Everybody turns to him. Cohen turns to him. Mendez turns. Darden, and look who comes from behind. No one laid a body on him. That's Darden's responsibility. Number 4 on your screen. to lay a body, find someone first. See, everybody's eyes on rebounds. Look at the rim. You don't need to look at the rim. You got to find a body first. Let the ball hit the floor. You don't have to catch it over the rim. I never had to worry about that.
No, you didn't.
No.
It was a different time.
You know, you didn't even pause, Doug. You just jumped all over that. You know, you could have waited a second before you agreed.
Glenn. People didn't dunk like that back then.
You know?
Different era.
Oh, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, they dunked like that, Doug. I couldn't jump. I could barely get over a piece of paper that was on the floor.
2 minutes left here in the first half. Schmidt, nice job to knock it away. Wilson, though, saves to Carruthers. Solomon Brown, fouled hard by Shea Cohen.
I like how Brown went at Cohen that time. Didn't hesitate, didn't pump or anything. Just went straight up, drew the foul. Great hustle by Tyree Wilson, too. Tyree might have got banged up a little bit as he dove for that ball. I don't know who it was. Maybe Darden or Schmidt fell on his leg, but he seems okay.
There's a good look at Solomon Brown, freshman from Los Angeles. Went to St. Thomas More Prep in Connecticut. First Iona missed free throw here this afternoon. Shea Cohen picked up his second foul.
You know, I was talking to some of the MAAC people and thinking about who has more assists as a freshman ever in this conference. And Solomon Brown's tallied up a whole bunch of assists this year. And we've seen some very good freshman point guards come through this league. But Solomon Brown has great upside.
Solomon talking about piling up assists as Mike Schmidt knocks down the three, and a quick timeout called by Joe Mihalik. In one of the two meetings earlier this year, Glenn, Solomon Brown had 8 assists against the Purple Eagles. That was just over a month ago, February 1st. And Brown has played very much like that since coming off the bench here today. And there's Schmidt with the sweet release.
Yeah, you see that shot by Schmidt we talked about. That was kind of missing in the first half. You know, I had a chance to talk to Joe Mihalik about Michael Schmidt, and when they were 8 and 11, really struggling, Joe Mihalik told me that when Schmidt hit that shot against Siena at Niagara, that really was the turning point to their season. Then they had a great win at Fairfield, and Schmidt started playing well off the bench. And Michael Schmidt, not Shea Cohen, but Michael Schmidt, really has been a factor in their turnaround during the season.
Off of the timeout, Tyree Wilson will inbound for Iona. It's 32-27 Niagara. The Gales without their leading scorer and rebounder, Courtney Fields. 6'9" junior who averaged 13 points, 6.5 rebounds per game. Injured his ankle a couple of weeks ago in practice. There's a look away. Block shot by Mendez.
Two guys got it. It was like someone trapping a fly on a backboard.
Schmidt left alone. Short. Tyree Wilson the rebound. A minute 10 left to go in the half. Nice job by Solomon Brown to find the open man, but Wolford couldn't hit it.
Nice draw and kick.
Jamel Darden, cross court. Under a minute to go first half. High post. Mendez kicks it to Jamel Darden for 3. 6 points for Tremel Darden, and a run by the Purple Eagles to once again open up an 8-point lead.
And Niagara has given up 48% from the field goal line this year. This is a team that, again, does a terrific job on the offensive end. They've given up a lot of points, but a lot of that's because they like to go up tempo. So they don't mind trading baskets with you because they think they have so many weapons. They want to get it up and down like that. That stat is a little deceiving, 48% from the floor as a team. Usually when you're giving up 48%, you're struggling a little bit, not Niagara.
Darden with 3 seconds to go in the half, missed it, and that's going to do it. The Niagara Purple Eagles with the advantage at the half of our first men's quarterfinal here at the Pepsi Arena. It's Niagara 35, Iona 29 here on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the New York Lottery. New York Lotto gives you 2 games for $1, so play today. Hey, you never know. By Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right.
Ryder Trucks, logistics and transportation solutions worldwide. And by I Love New York. Show your love for New York State.
The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference crowned its women's soccer champion back in November down at Disney in Orlando, Florida. Let's take a look at some of the action.
Disney's Wide World of Sports was the site of this year's Field of Dreams for the 2001 JetBlue MAAC Women's Soccer Championship. For the first time in MAAC history, all 10 teams converged in Orlando to battle it out for the title, as well as enjoy some of the unique magic of the Walt Disney World Resort. 2001 marks the 4th year the MAAC has conducted a fall championship at Disney. Women's volleyball, men's soccer, cross country, and golf all have experienced the magical world of Disney. Next year, women's volleyball returns to the courts. In April, the men's and women's golf championship will return to the challenging Lake Buena Vista golf course. With an automatic berth into the NCAA tournament on the line, top-seeded Marist set sights on defending champions Loyola, with the remaining field of hopefuls looking for an upset.
Come on, Sarah!
Months, if not years of preparation, coupled with spirit and determination, were now the fuel to rocket one team and its members to the top spot. Who would walk away with the honors? The tournament opened with Ryder's decisive victory over St. Peter's and Canisius advancing over Iona. The quarterfinals saw the action heat up as 7th-seeded Ryder upset 2nd-seeded Fairfield. 8th-seeded Canisius gave Marist a run for the money in a close contest, with the Red Foxes coming away with the win. Niagara rallied against Loyola in an offensive melee, but the Greyhounds slipped by 5-4 as time ran out. The last game of the round saw Manhattan narrowly defeating Siena. Following the quarterfinals, student-athletes and their fans entered the Disney MGM Studios for the championship banquet. The awards ceremony took place at the Theater of the Stars. It was the perfect setting to pay homage to outstanding performances on the field and in the classroom. Over 85 student-athletes were recognized on the New York Lottery All-Academic Team. Megan King of Fairfield was named Rookie of the Year, and Melanie Nye of Marist, Goalkeeper of the Year. Fairfield's Julianne Foreman took top honors as Player of the Year, and Megan McGonigal and Steve Karbowski shared the title of Coach of the Year. While competing in Orlando, Florida, MAAC student-athletes and guests stay at the Walt Disney World All-Star Resort. The All-Star offers 2 pools, a food court, gift shops, and a unique multi-sport environment to its guests. Athletes and guests also have the opportunity to experience the 100 Years of Magic celebration, commemorating the birthday and legacy of Walt Disney, with special attractions and shows across the resort. As the action resumed, the semifinals pitted Ryder and Loyola, with the Greyhounds stopping the Bronx. Marist kept Manhattan at bay to advance to their first ever MAAC championship match. In the end, it all came down to the top seed challenging the defending champions for the MAAC title.
There is an easier way to find a job. The MAAC, together with JobTrack.com, bring you the largest job listing website, exclusively for students and alumni. It's where over 400,000 businesses have come looking for talents just like yours. The MAAC and JobTrack.com, the fastest track between school and work. Check it out at your school's Career Center.
What? Dean's List.
Back at the Pepsi Arena at the intermission, Niagara leads Iona 35-29. We take a look at the first half statistics, and not surprisingly, 3-point baskets in the favor of the Purple Eagles. That's the way Niagara plays, and Iona 0 for 5 from beyond the arc. Typically, that is not part of their game, except for maybe Maceo Wofford. And those are the 6 points that are difference on the scoreboard. The first half stats brought to you by Coach USA. Welcome back with the start of the second half here on the MAAC Television Network. We are back at the Pepsi Arena. Niagara with a 35-29 lead over Iona. The Purple Eagles shooting the ball well from the outside, and as we saw from those halftime statistics, that is part of their game. Darryl Green leads with 8 points, along with Alvin Cruz, the leading scorer for Iona. Kenye Carruthers, who has 8 points. Alvin Cruz, Darryl Green, Tremel Darden, James Reeves, and Shake Cohen for the Purple Eagles. Jenkins got a piece of that shot. James Reeves with the putback.
See that? Niagara exploiting the 2-3 zone now. Iona did a good job on the perimeter, but again, front court players playing that back spot on the zone have to do a better job picking up loose rebounds and trying to keep Reeves off the board.
Glenn, we've got to keep a close eye on fouls. James Reeves has 3, and then a whole ton of guys have 2 apiece. Shea Cohen, Alvin Cruz, Diary Wilson, Charles Henson, Greg Jenkins, Eddie Starks, Kenya Carruthers. Almost easier to say who doesn't have 2 fouls. Diary Wilson with the leaner.
Yeah, but you know, if it becomes a foul-prone type game, I think that favors Niagara, who is a much deeper team than Iona.
Cruz misses. Darden picks the rebound off the weak side. Reeves with another offensive rebound, and he's fouled by Jenkins. James Reeves will head to the free throw line.
See, I thought Darden, who did a terrific job getting the offensive rebound, Doug, did not need to go around the rim. Watch how he does a nice job getting inside position. All he's got to do now is go straight up. Instead, he makes it hard for himself and goes on the other side of the rim, on the other side of the backboard. Just go straight up, get fouled. Take the easy path. Don't go around the block when you can go straight through it.
That foul on Jenkins, his 3rd, so he earns a trip back to the bench. Just a minute 16 into the second half. 38-31 Niagara with the lead.
That's a big foul. That is just a big foul that Jeff Ruland cannot afford now. Obviously, with him on the bench, he's going to have to sit at least 8-9 minutes here.
And without Courtney Fields, the leading scorer and rebounder because of that ankle injury.
And he has caused so many problems for Niagara during the season that they really need his presence, Jenkins, on the floor. Now Niagara sitting in a little bit of a 3-2 zone. Darden out top.
There's Diary Wilson. Henson. You know, Henson's the only player on the floor for Iona. We got a reach-in foul against Cruz. The only Iona player over 6'5". And Henson, who's down and slow to get up, as we talked about already, is paper thin at 6'9", 200 pounds. So with Jenkins on the bench, it's going to be a small lineup no matter what you do if you're Jeff Ruland.
No question about it. That's why Diary's going to have to hit the offensive boards, which is what he did on that occasion, along with the guards. You know, the guards have to hit the offensive boards too, pick up those long rebounds. That's another big foul. Cruz with 3 now.
Wilson finally gets it into Carruthers just before he stepped out of bounds. Kind of disjointed here for the Gales with 18:15 to go, second half. Off the mark, Eddie Starks. Battle again for the loose ball, and it's James Reeves underneath the pile. Held ball.
See, that's impressive, Doug. That's impressive. Look where Reeves dove for that loose ball. That's the guard spot on the floor. The guard's got to get those long rebounds and dive on the floor. He left that spot under the rim, went out to the guard area that's supposed to get those long rebounds and hit the deck. That's impressive to me when you see those big guys go out and hit the deck.
You know, Reeves looks like a tight end going after a fumble here. He's 6'8", 250 pounds.
Now look where he is. He's under the basket, then it goes out. See, the guards are going to need to pick up those long rebounds. Instead, Reeves hits the deck first. That's impressive. See, the little things win basketball games, the hustle stats, the guards getting long rebounds, getting deflections, taking charges.
Wilson to Henson, and he's tied up. Another nice play by James Reeves, and now the possession arrow gives it to the Purple Eagles.
Yeah, see, Niagara really now looks like they are playing at another level defensively. See, defensive intensity for Niagara can win games for them, because if Reeves shuts down the front court, and obviously Darryl Green and Cruz and Darden do a terrific job on guys like Wolford and Starks who can make threes, it's going to be a long second half for Iona.
Here's Darryl Green. He hits. You know, the end of the season for Niagara, they won 8 of their last 10. During that time, Glenn, they averaged 80 points per game, shot just under 50% from the floor, and hit 40% as a team beyond the arc.
Right. And this team has, the nice thing about this team is that they have inside threats and they have outside threats, guys that could shoot. But look how Darryl Green's scoring all his points. It's catch and shoot, not taking guys off the bounce, doesn't need to. Cruz does a nice job finding Green on the wings, and when Schmidt's in the game, finding Schmidt. You think about the guard play on this team. You know, there's some good guards in this league. Obviously, Muggsy, Flores, I like the guards at Fairfield now starting to play some good basketball. But when you think about Niagara's guards, this is a deep team. Schmidt off the bench. Rossi Karen. Along with Darryl Green and Cruz.
Larry Wilson connects to make it a 9-point game. This is Darryl Green, who we're talking about, number 1 for Niagara. He leads all scorers so far here today with 11 points. And during that span of 10 games to end the year, Glenn, he was averaging 18 per game. So he has really been lighting it up. As has Tremel Darden. 9 for Darden. It's a 12-point Niagara lead. 16:37 left to go here in the second half. Henson. Brown runs into Shea Cohen, gives it off to Diary Wilson. Short! Can't get the roll, but the tip in by Henson. It's going to be waved off.
Ball was on the rim, Doug. Offensive goaltending. Nice soft shot thrown up by Diary. Watch, this ball is on the rim. Ooh, close, close.
I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that was close.
So Henson has the basket disallowed. Niagara with it, leading by a dozen.
It's a tough call to make because you got that cylinder that goes up straight to the ceiling. Can't touch that ball when it's up above the rim.
Nice job by Kenye Carruthers to deny and knock the ball out of bounds. Again, giving up height, giving up weight. The Gales are going to have to compensate in other ways down low against Reeves.
Yeah, against the zone. Iona's going to have to do a better job of ball reversal because the ball reversal is going to get some openings. When Diary Wilson hit that seam the last time, the ball got to him a little bit too late. So that's good ball movement that time. Iona playing straight man. Maceo Wolford, by the way, Doug, typically does a pretty good job defensively on Darryl Green. Wow.
Well, nothing much you can do about that. Darryl Green is feeling it here this afternoon in Albany.
I think Darryl Green heard me when I whispered that, by the way.
Wow.
I'll show you a good job on Darryl Green. Bam.
Meanwhile, Maceo Wolford was trying to fight through a tackle from Shea Cohen.
This is a tough shot because Henson does a good job of helping out. Yeah, 2 guys from behind the line on Darryl Green fading away. Just nails it.
NBA range 3. Chance for a 4-point play. Henson the rebound.
What Joe Mahalik told me on senior night up in Buffalo at Niagara, it was very emotional when Darryl Green came out with his parents. And Joe said he had tears in his eyes saying, we got to figure out a way to get him to play another year for him. He didn't want to see him go. Great career he's had.
Yeah, he is 12th all-time on the scoring list at Niagara University, and that's saying something with the history they have of Purple Eagles basketball. Henson with a personal foul. Came up over the back.
See, what's happening right now is the offensive rebounding causing some damage for Iona. Henson thought he got all ball up top.
Shea Cohen shooting 2. Senior forward from Jerusalem.
So I guess it's safe to say he's not commuting.
No.
To Niagara.
Using the housing out there in Western New York, I would hope. Now, mark this down. 15:06 to go. Greg Jenkins is back in, and I think Jeff Rulin sensed that it's getting away from him, and we're going to have to do something right now, foul trouble or no. We have a timeout. Joe Mihalik's Purple Eagles with a 14-point lead over Iona. It's 49-35 here on the MAAC television network. Senior guard Darryl Green, who was second in the conference this year in 3-point baskets made, Well, if the season went any longer, Glenn, I think he might take over that championship. He has been stroking it here this afternoon.
Well, he really has. Off the catch and then off the bounce from behind the three-point line. You know, when Darryl Green finishes his career, he's going to be close to being in the top 10 in scoring in the history of the school, top 10 in assists, steals, and he's second already in three-point field goals made. Talk about a career, and a diverse career as well, going from the point to the off guard. He's done it all for Joe Mihalik.
You stole my tidbit. I was going to say Jeff O'Connor's the only guy in Niagara history to have more three-pointers than that guy. Darryl Green, number 2. And again, depending on how long the season goes, he might be able to make a run. But this is do or die time. I mean, this is, you know,
but you made a good point,
single elimination.
You made a good point. The intensity level that Darryl Green and Diarrhea play in this game is impressive.
One of them will be done today. Niagara at 16 and 13 overall. Iona at 13 and 16 overall. They're not going to get NIT invitations. They're not going to get NCAA invitations. So one of their careers will end here in the next hour.
Right. One of the things that Iona has to do to get back in this game, Doug, is push the ball up the floor, make an effort to get into the transition game. Get some easy baskets. That's where they excelled in the first half. We have seen Niagara just take away the transition game in the second half so far. No easy baskets for Iona.
Solomon Brown has to commit the foul, his first. A non-shooting foul. Number 4 against Iona, so Darryl Green will inbound at near midcourt. Well, James Reeves, even though he has only 1 basket so far here this afternoon, Glenn, 11 rebounds. And that's with foul trouble and spending several minutes on the bench. 11 rebounds in 12 minutes. This is James Reeves, but he missed the layup. Cohen tries to swing it back out, but here come the Gales. 3-on-1. Diarrhea Wilson lays it in.
Good decision that time by Wolford. He had Brown on the left and Diarrhea on the right. And who's the better finisher? Diarrhea. Not too many guys could finish in this league like Diarrhea in the transition game.
Wilson leads with 12 points. The Gales, though, trail 49-37. 14-12 to go second half. Darden gives it back to Cruz. They'll reset with 10 seconds on the shot clock. Nice defense by Wolford to knock it out of bounds, and it'll be Iona ball. Off of Darryl Green, so the Gales get it back down by a dozen.
You know, one thing that's been missing in the second half has been the transition game. And that's one of the things that Iona has to do. See, when they play this methodical style of play, this is where they struggle in executing a half-court offense. Nice read that time by Solomon Brown as Carruthers steps right into the seam of the zone.
Darden plowed through Diarrhea Wilson. Easy call. Usually the offensive foul, the defensive charge is one of the tougher ones, but that was an easy one.
Well, we have seen that, again, deflections lead to the transition game. Now, freeze it right here if we can. Look how wide the players are. Good spacing that time in the break. Good decision by Wolford to give it to Diarrhea. Again, they were not tight. They were nice and wide. That means one guy can't play two.
Wolford drops it off Jenkins, and he kissed it home. Greg Jenkins with his second basket of the afternoon. It's back to an 8-point game. 7 minutes gone here in the second half. Alvin Cruz off the crossover. A blocking foul will send Cruz to the line for 2. Kenya Carruthers gets his 4th foul, Glenn. So you've got to keep track of these guys. The Gales don't have many fresh bodies on the bench, and Jeff Ruland's going to have to figure it out. And, you know, Ruland was quoted before the tournament as saying, quote, if we win, Phil Jackson should retire and Iona College staff should go out and take over the Lakers. That's how much he thinks they're up against it here this weekend.
Well, again, when you don't have that bench, especially in the tournament, you know how important bench depth is come tournament time. You just don't have the options. You don't have the combinations. You can't go big. You can't go small. You're limited to what you can do. The only thing you can do is manage the bench properly to give the guys that are getting tired some playing rest. That's really the only thing. Not many options out there. Iona has to push the ball up the floor. They have to get easy baskets, and they have to make sure they got to win by will.
And that's coming from the coach of the two-time defending champs. Iona trying to become the first three-peat postseason MAAC champion since LaSalle back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, we've seen so many great players come through the conference. Lionel Simmons on those teams, obviously having a nice NBA career coming from the MAAC.
Yeah, 3 NBA players were on those teams. Randy Woods, Doug Overton, and Lionel Simmons. They won right here on this floor in March of 1990 to close out that 3-year run. And that was the first year the MAAC tournament came to Albany. Tramel Darden knocking it down. He's got 11. 3 Niagara players into double figures now. Wofford to Brown. And he gets the roll. Timeout called by the Gales as Solomon Brown scores his 4th and 5th points of the afternoon. It's a 10-point Niagara lead.
See, Iona's doing now a better job picking up the loose balls and getting some deflections. And we always talk about deflections. I know Coach Bettino used to chart them in practice for us and talk about how important it was. Well, it is. You know, we've seen now Iona make a little bit of a run because they're getting their hands and fingertips on some balls. When you get a deflection, it usually leads to something positive. The last 2 times down the floor, Doug, we've seen Iona get deflections that have led to easy baskets.
And a nice choice that time by Maceo Wofford to give it to Solomon Brown. But again, fouls with 12 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock are going to be a huge factor in this game, just to be able to keep bodies on the floor and also hit your free throws.
Yeah, we talked about that in the open. One of the keys to this game is going to be how thin the depth factor is for Jeff Ruland. And if he just can kind of hang around a little bit, make it close with about 5 minutes left on the clock, Iona will have a chance to win this ball game. If not, he doesn't have that many weapons to come in and choose from.
For good reason. Everybody in the league is afraid of Iona and the ability that they do have. They were the preseason favorites. Diary Wilson, we kind of got a glimpse of him there. One of the reasons why, and they certainly have the ability to win 3 straight ball games. But so far this year, it's been a struggle for Jeff Ruland and his staff trying to figure out to get that continuity.
And again, the absence of Courtney Fields dramatically changes the complexion of this team. Courtney Fields, 6'9", versatile player, could put it on the floor, can shoot it.
And back at the last week of December, this team beat Seton Hall 73-70 at Madison Square Garden. Who was the guy leading the way? Courtney Fields. He had a double-double in that game.
And we saw how well he played when they played Manhattan College at Iona. Courtney Fields was the press breaker against that 40 minutes of great defensive pressure that Manhattan likes to apply. And Courtney Fields just does so many different things, and he rebounds the ball and he blocks shots. Remember how many block shots he had that game?
Yeah, that was a
he kind of did everything.
That was a Friday night in New Rochelle. One of the better games this year. Alvin Cruz with the 3-pointer. He's got 13 points. And it's a 13-point lead. Jenkins banks it in. This is the first of our 4 men's quarterfinals here today, this afternoon and this evening at the Pepsi Arena. Top-seeded Ryder will take on Canisius after the conclusion of this ball game, and then tonight's scheduled to begin at 7 o'clock, Siena versus Marist, and Manhattan against Fairfield. We have ourselves a timeout. Alvin Cruz and the Purple Eagles from Niagara with an 11-point lead over Iona on the MAAC Television Network.
You have a goal, a mission, something that St. Peter's College understands. Just across the river from New York's financial district, St. Peter's has helped guide students for more than 125 years. With small student-to-teacher ratio, advanced technologies, scholarship programs, and championship athletics, St. Peter's College is a perfect beginning for your growth and success. St. Peter's, the Jesuit College of New Jersey, the advantage you're looking for.
That is Wolfgang, the mascot for the pro indoor lacrosse team at the Pepsi Arena, the Albany Attack. Imagine having to sit behind him if your ticket was behind that guy. No thanks. Hey, the MAAC Hockey Championships now less than 2 weeks away, March 14th and 16th at the College of Holy Cross Heart Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. All session passes affordably priced at $12. For ticket information, call 508-793-2573. And this being the big weekend for MAAC basketball, you'll want to catch all the latest news and information, all the statistics on the conference website at maacsports.com, MAACsports.com. Jenkins to Wilson. Chance for a three-point play. I think Diary Wilson senses if we don't pull it out here in the last 11-20, my college career is over.
Nice job by Jenkins. See, that's one area in his game, Doug, that he has improved in passing out of double teams. His little double teams. Mendez leaves Diary Wilson, who found the seam of the zone. The guard did not rotate down from Niagara on that play. That's the guard's responsibility if the big guy comes up to help out and double team. The guard's got to rotate and recover.
15 points for Diary Wilson. He leads all scorers. Michael Schmidt back into the game. Here's Darrell Green. Missed the floater, but he was fouled, so Darrell Green will go back to the line.
You know, Darrell Green has some flashbacks of him playing the point guard spot. His ability to penetrate, you remember through the years, Doug, Darrell Green's always had a great innate ability to get in the lane and draw fouls. Joe Mihalik knows he's confident when Darrell has the ball, that he makes the right decision. A lot of good guards in this league, Doug, that know how to draw fouls. Flores is one of them. Dukes is another one of them. Kennedy draws fouls well for Marist.
By the way, they foul on Diary Wilson, his third personal. 11:05 to go second half. James Reeves back in for Niagara. Green will get a rest.
See, that's the luxury right there. Green taking a rest. Obviously, Joe Mihalik has the nice opportunity to put Cruz in for him. And Darden, Schmidt comes in the game, so now they go a little bit bigger.
Brown, quick inside. Jenkins with a strong move, but he missed it. Darden tied up by Starks. The possession arrow says stay at this end.
You know, speaking of Starks, Doug, very quiet game for him. Just not getting his shots up, not getting any good looks at the basket.
Starks is 0 for 2 in 11 minutes so far here today. A couple of fouls, couple of rebounds, 1 assist. So yes, like you say, Glenn, very quiet. Wofford with a quick release off the inbound. Whistle and a foul. It goes against Juan Mendez. A non-shooting foul. That foul on Mendez, his second, and number 6 against Niagara. Both teams have 6 team fouls here in the second half.
See how Mendez is laying off Solomon Brown to help out on Jenkins inside. They still got him the ball.
Carruthers missed the tip. Darden clears the rebound this time. You know, at some point, you got to figure Maceo Wofford's going to have to start hitting outside shots. He's 0 for 5 beyond the arc this afternoon, and we've seen him tail off a bit late in the season, and they need that element. They've not been able to hit any three-point shots so far, Glenn. 0 for 8 as a team.
Well, one of the things Niagara's doing nicely is they're getting up on Wofford and they're giving Solomon Brown the three-point shot. Only Brown's not taking it. They're laying off him. Anytime someone lays off you, you got to give him. You got to take what the defense gives you. Solomon Brown right now needs to shoot the ball, make himself a threat.
Darden now with 13 points off the terrific feed from Michael Schmidt. Kenye Carruthers the leaner, and it's going to get waved off because he leaned in and commits the offensive foul. If he had gone straight up, that's 2 points for the Gales. Instead, he picks up the personal, and that's 5 on Kenye Carruthers.
Yeah, you know, Doug, you were right, because Wofford passed up a little corner jump shot there. And that's something he cannot afford, and Iona cannot afford to do. You can't pass up those open looks. Wofford could shoot the ball.
So Carruthers fouls out with 10 points and 6 rebounds. 5 of them on the offensive end. So again, the interior play of the Gales being greatly hampered by fouls here this afternoon.
One thing we know is that Jeff Rulin does not have an Iona uniform underneath that suit, so he cannot come in and act as the Superman role and save this game for Iona.
60-48, offensive foul, Tremel Darden. He was trying to post up Maceo Wofford, and he was a little too aggressive, so he picks up his third foul. Both teams now have committed 7, so we'll have free throws for the rest of the ball game just past the midpoint of the second half. Wolford continues to struggle from three-point land.
He rushed that shot. Cruz was all over him. He just rushed it. Little ball fake. Get the guy up in the air. Schmidt's showing good patience.
With a 12-point lead, Niagara pulls it out.
See, it would have been very easy there to take a quick shot, but Joe Mihalik knows he was on the sideline screaming to Schmidt, take it out, use some clock, force Iona to get tired, stay down in your defensive stance. Telltale right there. Iona 0 for 9. Niagara doing a nice job from 3. But they're mixing it up. See, they're not just relying on three-point shots. They also have the weapons inside to hit the offensive boards.
Mendez with another chance. Niagara with 3 offensive chances on that trip down, and Mendez cashes in. Timeout call.
You know, the first time these two teams met, Doug, Jenkins lit him up for 24 points and 10 rebounds. Now he's had some looks, but he just can't finish inside. A couple times his hands weren't ready, just a little anxious. And one of the things he has to work on is slowing down a little bit. Jenkins seems to rush things inside. When he slows his game down and gets balanced, he becomes a very effective player. So obviously they need him to really come on here with 8:26 left on the clock.
And you saw with that shot, he has been drawing the ire of his head coach, Jeff Ruland, during this timeout because of those 3 chances for Niagara at the basket. Ruland is trying to get some interior play out of Jenkins and Henson. It's the only place he's got to turn right now.
Right. You know, Wolford has been the only offensive threat this year from the perimeter, with the exception of Starks in a few games for Jeff Ruland. And Jenkins had some help from Henson inside a little bit this year, but they're struggling right now. And take a look at the rebounds that now starting to mount for Niagara. These are, again, this is the number 1 and number 2 team in rebounding in the MAAC conference. These two teams really do a great job pounding the boards, except Niagara with Mendez and Reeves inside seems to have an advantage.
Henson lost the pass. Alvin Cruz. Nice use of the left hand, and 1. Shielding the ball with his body, and now a chance for a 3-point play.
Talking to Joe Mihalik about Alvin Cruz, he just loves his quickness with the basketball. What he's improved on this year, again, hands not ready by Henson. See, his hands weren't ready. You got to be shot ready anywhere you're on the floor. But what Joe Mihalik loves about Alvin Cruz as the season has progressed is his ability to stay under control. And that play really exemplified how under control Cruz was. A lot of freshmen just like to take it going 120 miles an hour. You got to slow down. Tough thing to teach a freshman.
That's the first foul on Wolford. Cruz now has 16 points. He and Darrell Green share the lead, although now Cruz has himself 18 points. He's shown this in bursts this year, Glenn. He has the ability to put up points in bunches. He had 21 in the regular season finale, 18 so far here in the MAAC tournament opener for Niagara. The Purple Eagles on an 11-0 run, snapped there by Solomon Brown, but an 11-0 burst has given the Purple Eagles a 16-point lead.
See, that's what they need, Doug. Solomon Brown not looking for his shot enough, ran into a monster screen out top. No one communicating from Iona. See, I don't like that. That used to happen to me in the backcourt. Guys wouldn't talk, and then you run into some screen of a guy like 260 pounds that's not moving. It's like hitting a wall. You could dislocate a shoulder. You need to talk on defense.
Well, one of your teammates who has the assignment of guarding the big guy, you got to realize, yeah, he may not be a scoring threat out there, but he's a threat to my teammate.
But it's everyone. It's not just the guy setting the screen. It's everybody's got to yell, hey, watch the screen, watch the screen. Scream it out so the guard hears you.
Tyree Wilson the rebound. A long pass to Wolford. Back to Henson. Lost the handle, but was able to regain and lay it in.
You know, it seems like just as when Niagara wants to close the door, Iona comes up and makes some big shots. They're going to go down swinging.
Well, this 11-0 run that Niagara had was done for the most part with Darrell Green on the bench. Tough entry pass from Reeves, taken away by the Gales. Niagara 67, Iona 53. Wolford gets it to go, but he landed hard on his right elbow. Play continues, but Maceo is looking to the bench, looking for some help. Brooks missed the reverse. Henson the rebound. The outlet, though, taken back by Schmidt. Brooks again. Count the basket and one. David Brooks couldn't get it the first time, so he got a second chance and cashed in on the opportunity. Now he's got a chance for a three-point play.
Yeah, Iona's starting to look a little tired here. Just not getting to the loose balls and not rotating. Foot speed looks a little bit slower. Now, 6 minutes left in the game, Doug. Looks like they're starting to wear down a little bit.
And Maceo Wolford to the bench. That was the fourth foul on Jenkins. 6 minutes to go. Brooks with the old-fashioned three-point play. The Purple Eagles lead is back to 15 points. Joe Mihalik's club trying to reach the semifinals here on the MAAC Television Network.
What are those stories?
That about people.
Let's try an interval of about 15 milliseconds, because that's half of what the PISO is getting.
The aspects of the retreat, like you talked about friendship.
It's also about what that knowledge means for the human spirit. I know that students are concerned about it.
Niagara leads Iona 70-55 in the first of our 4 men's quarterfinals here at the Pepsi Arena. On Thursday here in Albany, they announced that Mario Porter has won the 2002 Pepsi Player of the Year award, not surprisingly. He led from wire to wire. He was the preseason favorite to win it and the postseason favorite as well. Ryder Bronx senior forward Mario Porter, the Player of the Year. Meanwhile, the Rookie of the Year is teammate Jerry Johnson, who did not lead wire to wire. I'll tell you, Glenn, people were not talking about Jerry Johnson in November, but by January, everybody knew who this guy was.
I love him. Love his speed. I love what he does defensively for Donnie Harnum. He can shoot. He can get in the lane. He's terrific on the break. He's getting better every time he plays.
And the next time he plays is in just a few minutes. We'll see Ryder coming up next.
Exciting player, exciting young player for Donnie Harnum. That's one finish inside for Jenkins. But, you have to talk about, Doug, the year Sean Kennedy has. Sometimes you wish like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 guys could be Player of the Year. And Kennedy's name and what he did this year for that Marist team has to be mentioned.
Now we will get a chance to see the Red Foxes in what should be a very tough game against Iona tonight. Henson fouled by Reeves, so Henson will go to the line. Yeah, you're right. To watch Sean Kennedy, if you don't watch an entire game, you just look at him, watch him for a few minutes, you may not be impressed, but he is something else.
He really is. Makes other people around him better. Good dish that time. Henson going up strong. See, Iona needs to get back in this game with those easy baskets.
That was the 4th foul on Reeves. Henson into double figures with 11. Former St. Raymond star. Reeves goes out. Cohen back in. Rossi Karen has also come back in to run the point for Niagara. So at this point, if you're Joe Mihalik, are you thinking, I want to rest Darrell Green? I mean, it's only a 12-point game, but you're thinking if we're going to win this tournament, we've got to have him fresh and ready to go the next 2 days.
I think it's a good call. I think, if they could, obviously maintain this lead with the players that they have on the floor. Obviously, Reeves is not in the game either. I think it's a great move. And again, that's the luxury that Joe has that Jeff doesn't have. Got a deep bench. Those guys could rest right now.
And by the way, you got this guy, number 55, Rossi Karen, as good a backup point guard as you'll see in the conference. Brooks called for the foul. He knocked Solomon Brown to the hardwood.
Joe Mihalik not liking what he's seeing. He's going to put Darrell back in the game. Interesting, Mook Reeves right now. There you see the foul problems for both teams. But, we talked about the depth. And if this game was going to run into foul trouble, Iona's going to lose out. Only 7 players. Crothers already out of the game. Boy, what a great job Reeves has done this game, Doug. 13 rebounds, a force on the boards. Didn't score that much.
No, just the 5 points so far. There's Joe Mihalik. First 3 years in the conference, twice he won at least a share of the regular season crown. Mendez the rebound.
Joe Mahalik on the sidelines, Doug. He's saying just use the clock. No need to rush.
Mendez was fouled, and if it's on Jenkins, that would be his 5th. Indeed it is. So another one bites the dust. Kenye Carruthers already out with 5 fouls. Now Greg Jenkins' junior season appears to come to an end with his 5th foul. And Jenkins, as you see, hearing about it from his head coach, Jeff Rulin.
So painful. And you got Carruthers and Jenkins, the 2 leading rebounders on this club, sitting down. Lights starting to dim for Iona as we finish out here.
This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC Properties, a division of Host Communications. Juan Mendez at the free throw line, the 2002 MAAC 6th Man of the Year. And actually, Joe Mahalik had a couple of guys who could have won that award. Michael Schmidt was another one. And actually, from what I understand, that was a very close vote all the way across the board. There were several legitimate candidates around the conference this year. The first time they've awarded the 6th Man of the Year award.
I like it because, you know, it's not about starting. It's about minutes, and it's about what you do on the floor, how productive you can be.
Well, Mendez led the league this year at nearly 60% on his field goal attempts. Very efficient. And so far here this afternoon, he's got a dozen. Tyree Wilson still fighting. He's got 17 points to lead the Gales. It's an 11-point game, 4 minutes to go. Still plenty of time if you're the Iona Gales. Oh, Joe DeMayo's hand went behind his head first, as though to give an offensive foul, but then it wound up being a blocking foul against Solomon Brown.
He's working hard out on that perimeter. Good job staying down low, trying to draw the foul. Let's take a look at Solomon Brown. That's a good call. Looked like he was going for the offensive charge if you watched Joe. But he called the block. I think that was the right call.
I think so too. As a team, Niagara shooting only 14 for 21 from the line. But Cruz has been terrific at the line. He's perfect with 19 points. Schmidt back in. Cohen goes out.
You know, Alvin Cruz has been the difference this game for Niagara. You know, making outside shots. I had a chance to talk to Joe Mahalik about Alvin, who has struggled from behind the arc this year, but he kept telling me he's making shots in practice, and just waiting for him to have a breakout game. If he makes outside shots, boy, this Niagara team becomes very difficult to defend because you have a host of outside three-point threats. Schmidt, Green, and now Cruz. Man, that's pretty tough to defend.
Cruz has 20. We've got a timeout. 3:53 to go second half. A 13-point Niagara lead on the MAAC television network.
This game is brought to you in part by HSBC. By the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. Ryder Trucks, logistics and transportation solutions worldwide. And by I Love New York. Show your love for New York State.
Along with Glenn Consor, this is Doug Sherman at the Pepsi Arena in Albany. Niagara leading this first men's quarterfinal 76-63 over Iona. Under 4 minutes to go, and when you shoot well from the perimeter, Glenn, which Niagara has been capable of, and they have done more often than not late in the season, you look like a pretty good ball club. They are shooting as a team 6 for 13 from beyond the arc here in the ball game. Wilson with a hoop, he's got 19. And, you know, they've got terrific balance offensively. We've been talking about it. Darryl Green has 16. Alvin Cruz with 20, one off his career high. Tremel Darden 13. Juan Mendez 13. Joe Mahalik's club looking good here in its first game of the MAAC tournament. Darryl Green
You know, Doug, when you look at the lineup on the floor right now, and that's one of the luxuries that Joe Mihalik has, is that he can go big and small. Right now he's going with the small lineup. You got Schmidt, you got Green and Cruz, 3 great shooters, and Darden could stick it from 3 as well. So it's almost like a 4-guard. Darden's more of a small forward. He could play that 2-guard spot. So this is the small crew. But then when Reeves is in the game along with Mendez and Shea Cohen, he can go with the big lineup. Jeff Rulin doesn't have that luxury.
And with 2 guys already fouled out for Iona, they really don't have any flexibility. I mean, 0. You've got pretty much one set lineup and not much to maneuver with. 3-pointer by Solomon Brown. Well, during the regular season, when these teams were more at full strength, they split their 2 meetings. Iona won on a couple of free throws late by Solomon Brown. And then in the game that Niagara won, it was again like today. Mike Schmidt and the Purple Eagles shot very, very well and won 84-74.
Very impressed with Alvin Cruz this game. Not only his ability to extend the defense and make shots, but he did a nice job running the club, getting the ball to Darryl Green and Schmidt and Darden. Explosive point guard that we are going to see some good things over the next couple of years from him.
Glenn, he has just tied his career high, which he got his last game. The regular season finale against Canisius, he scored 21, including the game-winning shot in the closing seconds. And Cruz is doing it again. Mendez checks out for Niagara. Very efficient numbers for Alvin Cruz. There is a new career high. 22 points for the freshman from Rio Pedras, Puerto Rico. 80-68, 2:37 to go. Henson has to put it on the floor to avoid traveling. Back out to Eddie Starks from downtown. Eddie Starks with his first bucket of the afternoon. And we've got a timeout call. It's a 9-point game.
Yeah, this is not over. Jeff Rulin scratching his head saying, Eddie, shoot the ball, man. Where have you been for 38 minutes? And this is something that's been missing. Look at Henson, kind of off balance, puts it down to gain his balance, and nice little pass over the top. Starks has great range, NBA range. Just nails that shot. Nothing but net. And this game's not over. This game is not over. Some full court pressure right now. Plenty of time.
Green and Cruz in the backcourt with Schmidt, Darden, and Reeves. Pressure's broken into the front court. Darden having trouble, picked up the dribble, and loses it. Here comes Maceo Wolford. He pulls it out. Eddie Starks now picked up by Schmidt out there.
They got to reverse the ball, get out of that corner.
Tyree Wilson with the jump stop, doesn't get the roll. James Reeves picks up another rebound. Big opportunity missed by the Gales. They could have cut the lead back to 7, but here they come again. Whistle. And we've got a foul called against Eddie Starks. Looks like Alvin Cruz will shoot a 1-and-1. Eddie Starks called for the holding foul. And you see what Jeff Rulin thinks about that call.
Boy, little action there as Starks ran in, almost took Darden's legs out from under him.
And then I think that little hold right
shove,
there
yeah, that's
is
a foul.
what got him.
That's a good call by Joe DeMeo. Aggressive play from both teams, going after loose balls. I like to see that.
That's the 3rd foul on Starks. Darden now with 14 points. Quick timeout called by the Purple Eagles as Darden knocked down a pair.
So right now, Joe Mihalik's talking to his team, Doug, about taking care of the basketball. Saying, hey, guys, we're okay. You know, they came back a little bit. Spread the floor. Spacing's important. Don't let them get deflections. Don't play east to west. Go south to north. Let's get good, crisp passing. Get open. And that's one of the things that has not happened the last 3 minutes for Niagara. One guy would have the ball, everyone else standing around. Got to make yourself a target. That's one of the things that's tough to teach kids, too, is that when you don't have the ball, move to an open spot on the floor. Don't just stand around and watch.
Stay tuned. You see what's coming up next. The Golden Griffins against the Bronx. The top seeds in the tournament. The Rider Bronx. Head coach Don Harnum, the 2002 MAAC Coach of the Year. And as we showed you a few minutes ago, they've also got the Player of the Year in Mario Porter and the Rookie of the Year, Jerry Johnson. Solomon Brown, strong to the hole with the left hand. The freshman from L.A. has 14 points.
You know, Doug, when he learns when to do things on the floor and take what the defense gives him, Solomon Brown's going to be a great player in this league.
Tremel Darden tied up by Henson. That's the fourth against Henson.
Boy, we got some good games coming up, Doug. That Fairfield Manhattan game is going to be big time. I think that one at night is going to be terrific. Obviously, CN is going to pack it in here tonight against Marist. That's going to be a beauty.
Yeah,
we got some great ones.
The same matchup we had last weekend at the Pepsi Arena with 9,300 in the stands.
Yep.
See if we get a crowd anywhere near that tonight for the rematch.
And I think the Ryder Canisius game is going to be a doozy as well. Canisius starting to play some good basketball. Mike McDonald has done so well in this tournament. Terrific tournament coach. And of course, Donnie Harnum. You talk about a guy that, you know, a lot of coaches, they'll play the same style of play, Doug, no matter who comes in. Donnie Harnum's changed things. Those guys like to get it and go. They play an exciting brand of basketball.
And when they first came into the league 5 years ago, it was much different. It was much more of a half court, slow down the ball,
and
pound it inside.
And it was effective.
Absolutely.
Very, very effective. But Donnie's made that adjustment. Not an easy thing for a coach to do.
And he didn't do it so much in the offseason. It's been as the season has gone on, and he's allowed Jerry Johnson to grow into that role and let the team mold around his talent. You're right. There's the foul by Starks. That's his fourth, and Darrell Green will go back to the line. 84-75. Niagara led at halftime, 35-29. The Purple Eagles jumped out quickly. Iona made a run to keep it close in the first half, but by and large, Niagara's been in control of this one. And Darrell Green's been a big part of it. The senior southpaw from Largo, Maryland. They're the two Gales who have fouled out. Niagara's been taking care of business at the line. 15 of its last 15 attempts. This is a very good shooting team, and that's a very good shooting senior guard, Darrell Green. Fourth in the conference in scoring. Points per game just under 15 so far this season. And I can say so far this season because it looks like Niagara's season will continue into tomorrow afternoon semifinals. Solomon Brown fouled by Reeves, who now fouls out. Nice job by Niagara and by Mook Reeves, who picked up 3 early fouls to keep him around until under a minute to go.
Well, when you have guys like Shea Cohen and Mendez off the bench, you could rotate those three guys to give him breaks. And Joe Mihalik's done a nice job managing that bench today. Jeff Ruland has as well, only so limited.
Only 5 points on the afternoon for James Reeves, but that doesn't tell the story. From the beginning, he was a force inside. He's got 13 rebounds. And we've got a break here, as is allowed when somebody fouls out. Make that 14 rebounds for James Reeves. Third leading rebounder in the conference at 8 per game. His career high 17, so not quite to that point. There's Jeff Ruland. It has been a, relatively speaking, long season in New Rochelle, a program that has had so much success in the MAAC. Now you see some of the long faces on a very short bench.
Very, very short bench. Couple walk-ons sitting there, and that's obviously was the storyline to this game. Not much to go to. Very limited to who you could bring in to rest guys like Wofford and rest guys like Jenkins.
Yeah, nowhere to turn.
Nowhere to turn. You had to play him, so Jenkins fouls out. Carruthers fouls out. Carruthers comes off the bench, you know, to relieve those guys.
He was the first to go. Solomon Brown has matched his career high with 16 points. Jump ball on the held ball, alternate possession.
But, you know, Jeff's done a great job with this team. Again, you know, he lost Ramel Allen. You know, he lost Leland Norris. And see, you got to be careful here. Alvin Cruz has to be careful. Solomon Brown's banging him around a little bit, but there's no need to pick up any silly technical fouls right here.
Michael Schmidt brings it back out, and the Purple Eagles going to work the clock a little bit. Tramel Darden fouled. Diary Wilson and Maceo Wofford came at him. Let's see who they gave it to. It's on Wofford, so that's his second.
You know, we saw Alvin Cruz kind of lose his temper a little bit, but it obviously tailed off, and now he's calm. And Joe Mihalik talking to him right now on the sideline, saying, just, you know, calm down. Obviously, how many times have you and I have seen at the end of a game someone picks up a technical foul, the clock stops, the guy makes a couple of shots, and all of a sudden you think the game's over, and it's not. Look at Joe. Look at Joe. Joe saying, no. Keep it cool. Keep it clean. Use clock. And we advance.
Darden trying to make it once again a 10-point game. Unable to do so. Here come the Gales, down 9. Diary Wilson has it stripped away. Bodies on the floor, and Darden calls timeout. So the Purple Eagles will have it with 33 seconds to go. Well, at this point, we should tip our caps to Diary Wilson. Looks like his Iona College career is about to come to a close, and it has been a fabulous 4 years of near unprecedented success with him as one of the key components.
Oh, no question about it. Obviously, you know, a quiet senior year, didn't put up the numbers. He was first team preseason All-MAAC player. He didn't have quite the year. He didn't make any of the 3 teams this year. But he's been a warrior, and, you know, obviously, who can forget what he did when Kirksey went down, winning MVP of the MAAC tournament a couple of years ago. He's brought some great contributions to the program, and he's a great kid. You talk to him, he's a sweet kid. He's nice. He's done well in school, and he's had a nice career. You know, I tell you what was sad last night, Doug. I came to the Friday game last night, and Kamal McQueen played his last game. And, you know, at one point, people forget Kamal McQueen was the prototype power forward in this league. Great hands. He dominated for so many years, and he fought through the ACL injuries and the knee problems. And, you know, he fought through this year, too. Had a good senior year. It's tough and sad, at least for me, to see him go.
Yeah.
I love the kid. And another great kid, has done well at school, working on his master's. Sometimes when you look at the other leagues around, everybody's leaving early. You don't see kids progress, not only on the basketball court, but also academically as well. You see that here in the MAAC.
And, you know, I still would like to say Kamal McQueen is still the prototype for power forwards in this conference. You know, he even with the knee problems has that ability, and more so than that, like you say, if you ask anybody on the St. Peter's campus, he's the guy everybody likes.
Yep, most popular guy on campus, and he's just a great kid.
Oh, ref!
Eddie Starks trying to find his shot, and he is fouled by Juan Mendez. 87-77. Today's Pepsi player of the game is Alvin Cruz. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi, and that's a new career high for Alvin with 22 points. And you can't do much better than that. 6 for 9 from the floor, hit all 3 from beyond the arc, and 7 for 7 from the line. A terrific job for the freshman point guard, our Pepsi player of the game.
Yeah, I think that's what's impressive about this game. You have Solomon Brown and Alvin Cruz, 2 freshman point guards, Doug, that have some great upside. Both of these guys are terrific players, poised, can shoot it.
And if you get guard play, you can win this championship and go to the big dance. It all leads up to the Monday night game. 9 o'clock is the championship here at the Pepsi Arena.
See, Doug, you know, you and I have been doing this for a long, long time. It just seems like if there's one staple that wins championships, it's defense. You could have off nights, and you could run poor offenses, and guys could be off, and someone can get in foul trouble, and someone can get hurt. But if you play tough defense, that somehow seems to squeak you by to the victory.
Foul number 3 on Maceo Wofford. Still just an 8-point game. Rossi Karen gets a chance at the foul line. 5'10" junior from Port Arthur, Texas. There is Rossi, who was a starter for much of last year while Darryl Green was out with the injuries, and did a terrific job. Joe Mihalik, the MAAC Coach of the Year in 1999.
I love Joe. I always say I would have liked to have played for Joe. Just has a nice way with the players and understands how to get guys to maximize their potential. That's a nice gesture. Tyree Wilson shaking hands with Joe Mihalik on the sidelines. That was nice to see.
And the fans here at the Pepsi Arena, not only Iona fans, but other fans from around the MAAC, give him a nice ovation as Tyree Wilson goes out. Basket by Solomon Brown. New career high for him with 18. By the way, Randy Williams has come into the game out of All Hallows. Niagara ball, 12 and 6/10 seconds to go. Stay tuned afterward. My partner will chat with our star of the game, our Pepsi player of the game, and also the winning coach. And we'll set up the next men's quarterfinal between Ryder and Canisius.
You know, I want to talk to Darryl Green, though, Doug. I really do. I think he, you know, as a senior, Alvin Cruz, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of him.
Oh, yeah.
But I would love, I'm going to see if I can get Darryl Green to come over and talk to us a little bit.
The Niagara Purple Eagles are the first into the semifinals. Final score, 89-83, Niagara over Iona. The leading scorer for Niagara here this afternoon, Alvin Cruz, he scored 22. Darryl Green and Tremel Darden each had 19. Juan Mendez scored 13. Niagara wins it to move on to the semis. All smiles for Joe Mihalik and the Eagles. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.